everyone, and welcome to our weekly gathering to talk NKU basketball that we call Norse Nation. I'm Jim Couch along with Steve Moeller. We're live as always on Monday nights at the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Wilder in northern Kentucky, right off exit 77, Highway 275. That's the AA highway. We're glad you're with us on the radio tonight on ESPN 1530, and of course an overflow crowd again down here at the Mellow Mushroom. Steve, this was a good week for the men's basketball program. A home win on Wednesday night against Kennesaw State, and then that thrilling victory on the road down in Spartanburg against South Carolina Upstate on Saturday afternoon.
I'll tell you, it doesn't get any better than this, and to beat the best team in the league at their place, it was a tremendous win. Down 34-26 at the half, Coach Bezold and his kids came back and took the lead, and once they got it, they never gave it back. Great win.
Well, they won on Wednesday night at home over Kennesaw State 76-72, and then that 66-65 win over South Carolina Upstate, who, by the way, went into that game ranked number 11 in the mid-major poll. You don't see that poll in the paper. It doesn't appear under the AP Top 25 in the coaches poll, but you can look it up online. In the mid-major poll, South Carolina Upstate was ranked number 11, and that's the second time in 3 years that the Norse have been able to go down there and get a win. And so when you look at the standings now in the A-Sun, the Norse are tied for third place going into play this weekend.
Well, you and I spoke before we went on the air. This ball game coming up Thursday nights for first place in the A-Sun.
In North Florida and Lipscomb both at 3-0. Florida Gulf Coast and Northern Kentucky come into the game at 2-1. We have Coach Dave Bezold with us. We also will have a little bit later on in the second segment senior Chad Jackson, junior Jalen Billups to join us on the program. So let's jump right into it, Coach, and take a look at that Kennesaw State game. First of all, congratulations on 2 wins. You guys now sit at 2-1 in conference play, 8-10 overall, and here you are pushing that 500 mark again.
Oh, absolutely. It was a big win for our guys, Kennesaw State, especially after coming off a tough week where we played Toledo and then go down to Lipscomb to open up the conference season and not play very well, but to be able to respond and come back and get a big win, which I thought was very important, especially when you look at it. If you wouldn't have been able to take care of home court with Kennesaw State, then you're going on the road against USC Upstate, and what kind of confidence and things like that were you taking to probably one of the top 2 teams in the conference.
The win against Kennesaw was critical. As you said, you had a disappointing loss, led all the way against Toledo, and drop that, and then go down and not play well at Lipscomb, and then to come in to Highland, the Bank of Kentucky Center, and put together the 2 halves that you put together. It kind of gave you a springboard going down towards South Carolina Upstate.
Oh, absolutely. And anytime you come off of when you have confidence and things like that. The other thing I think, too, is our guys have been down there, and we've played well. We won the first time we went down there 2 years ago, my first year in Division II, and then last year it was a tie game with about 4 minutes to go. So I think our guys felt great about going down there and had a lot of confidence, and we were able to go down there and find a way to get a win.
You could argue that the kids play well down there because it resembles their high school gyms.
Oh, absolutely. It's very comfortable. And so, again, there's something about that when you walk into a gym like that, the smallest in Division I, 800 seats, that you are comfortable, and it's a shooting gym. You feel like there's a tremendous atmosphere there, so it was great for our kids to be in.
And it's not an intimidating place to play either, so, yeah, you're right.
You guys go into the locker room of that game against Kennesaw, leading 41-34, but it wasn't that long before that. You had called a timeout, leading by 35-34. You guys reel off the final 6 points of the first half and then get the first 6 in the second half. You guys were on a little bit of a roll at that time.
Yeah, we were. It was a strange game because every time we'd get to 10 to 14 points, something would happen, something crazy. We'd have a loose ball, and they'd kick it and hit a 3, and things like that. So it was strange. And then to be able to string together a few possessions and get a lead, I felt was very critical, especially when you know they're going to make a run like they had the night before at USC Upstate, where they're down by double digits and wound up with the basketball to tie it. Kennesaw, they're very skilled, so I knew we were going to have a lead to absorb a run they were going to have in the second half.
So,
go ahead.
Pardon me, Steve. So you win that game 76-72. You load up the bus on Friday morning, destination Spartanburg, South Carolina. You go down there and play in the Hodge Centers. We talked about the smallest Division I gym in the country at 818. Halftime, you're down by 8, 34-26. What's your message to the guys at halftime?
we just talked about the defense was going to be vital, and we talked about transition defense and just hanging in there. That I didn't think I did a very good job of preparing them for that zone or the offense, and I think it may have taken us a half to get used to it. And then so they had some ideas and we had some ideas we talked about offensively that we were going to try to look at and to do, emphasize getting it inside, creating one-on-one matchups in there, and then again telling them, hey, shots are going to fall. Okay, don't worry about that. Shots are going to fall. Let's just make sure we continue to compete defensively because that's going to keep us in the game. And we all felt good about it at halftime.
I thought when at halftime you had Ty Green. He had 13 points at the half. Fred Miller had 10, and the two of them were kind of just coming at us and being very aggressive. And Ty Green, to let the fans know, he's one of the very few handful of players I've ever seen that plays with intensity every possession he's on the floor. But you hold him to 10 points in the second half and Miller to 6. And as you said, then the shots started to fall for us. It started with Taylor Persons hitting the 3, and then Tyler White, and then Todd Johnson with 3 huge threes right in front of your bench in the dead left corner that just carried us to get that lead. And the kids did a nice job. It's tough late in the game because you got to come and meet your passes. You have to play with strength. You got to be tough physically, and we weathered that storm. And that's got to be good for you. It's got to be good for the kids going forward in this conference.
Absolutely, because every time you get a win, you should add confidence to your game, and confidence going on the road, confidence wherever you are going. Whatever situation we're in, we know we can win. We know we can win on the road if we're down. We know if we do certain things, we can win. So absolutely, that's what you want to do. You want to continue to build confidence and continue to play because the games right now come fast and they'll go quick.
Yep.
We don't have that many left in the conference or the season right now. And I thought another big thing with that game was at halftime, we put them to the line a lot. And Miller and Green got out in transition, and they were able to get to the free throw line, and I think they made 14 or 16 free throws the second half, and we knew that was going to be important, not to foul them so carelessly and put them to the line. In Green, if he had 10 the second half, he had 4, on that one play at the very, very end. So I thought our guys did a much better job of not fouling and getting them to the free throw line.
Well, they get that 4-point play, get back within 1 at 66-65. You guys turn the ball over. Take us through that last segment from your perspective defensively, what you guys were trying to do there.
I don't know. I closed my eyes, and when the horn went off, I looked up, and we were winning. So I didn't want to see another Toledo episode, so I closed my eyes, and Coach Schapp woke me up and told me we won, so I was happy. No, all of a sudden, I felt it was when we got to the locker room, I said that was probably the gutsiest defensive 15 seconds I've seen, because when that happens, a lot of times the guys just stretch out. They're able to get to the hole and make a play, and our guys stayed fundamentally sound. We didn't stretch. We did things they were supposed to. They closed out properly. They just stayed solid and didn't try to do too much, and they did a tremendous job keeping the ball in front of them, helping each other, and to their credit, Upstate didn't even get a shot off before the horn went off, so that's very, very difficult to do and not foul in those circumstances.
Well, Green got the ball in the corner, as you say, went up to take the shot, but the horn had sounded, so even had he made it, which he didn't, the game would have been over, and your boys won 66-65. Nice celebration for them to make that bus trip back a little bit nicer, and so you get a double win week as you win at home over Kennesaw State. You win on the road at South Carolina, and you'll go into this week at 8-10 and 2-1 in conference play. As we said, tied with Florida Gulf Coast for technically third place in the ASUN. All right, stay with us. When we come back, we're going to get Chad Jackson / Jalen Billups up here with the coach. We'll talk a little bit more about what happened this weekend and what's coming up next weekend for NKU men's basketball. From Learfield Sports, this is the NKU Sports Network on ESPN 1530. Norse Nation as we talk NKU basketball until the top of the hour. NKU men, double win this past week. A win at home on Wednesday over Kennesaw State. A win on Saturday on the road, 66-65 at South Carolina Upstate. Dave Bezold, the head coach of the Norse, is with us, and we are pleased to welcome to the other microphone senior Chad Jackson, one of the 2 seniors on this team. Chad, welcome down to Mellow Mushroom. Welcome to the show, and happy Martin Luther King Day to all of us today, huh? Hey, you guys had a couple of nice wins, and you in particular had a couple of nice games in the game against Kennesaw. You managed 19 points in that game and 7 rebounds, and bounced back then on Saturday against Upstate with 10 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists in 33 minutes. We're seeing more consistent play out of you here as of late, and I'm certainly, the fans are happy, and I'm sure that you're very happy about it as well.
Yes, sir. I'm just trying to become, like you said, just more consistent, just trying to approach every game with that mentality and just go out there and make plays for myself, make plays for my teammates, and try to win ball games.
Chad, you redshirted last year. How tough was that for you to sit that year? And now coming back, do you feel like now you're starting to get into the swing of things a little bit more than you did early?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like I was telling somebody, in the first couple of games, it had almost been, I think, like almost a year or two since I played a real college basketball game. So I'm starting to get my legs under me and figure out the game and realizing what I have to do to be successful.
These 2 ball clubs coming up, North Florida and Jacksonville, anybody that stands out that you remember as having tough matchups with? North Florida, let's do them first.
Yeah, North Florida was always a tough place or a tough team to play against. They're usually pretty athletic. They have some really good shooters on their team, so I know they have a pretty good point guard in Dallas Moore. I haven't been able to play against them, but I've heard a lot about them, so I think that'll be a good matchup for us in the season.
Right. What about Jacksonville? Anybody with Jacksonville that you kind of match up with or like to play against?
To be honest, I don't really know anything about Jacksonville.
Okay.
So, like I said, that team's going to be tough as well. They're usually pretty athletic, and we'll just see how that goes. We
were talking to Coach early on. This ball game's for first place in the conference coming up Thursday night. So, and it's at our place. We're on a roll. They're on a roll. Should be a good ball game. Tell your classmates and fans, make sure to come out to the back at Kentucky Center on Thursday night for sure.
Yeah, it'll be a good.
So here you guys are, Chad, 18 games into what will be a 30-plus game season. And a lot of times you talk about freshmen hitting the wall midway through the season. They haven't played this much basketball ever in their life, and you guys have been at it since October with real practice and playing during the summer, all summer long. Do you guys as a team kind of hit the wall, and do you ever have maybe a players-only meeting away from the gym and say, hey, we're not getting it done right now. We've got to pick up the pace here. We've got an opportunity ahead of us to do this or do that. You guys have those kind of talks?
Yeah, I think everybody just matured a whole lot throughout the season. We've realized what we have to do to be successful, and we know we hold each other accountable when we're having bad practices. We'll talk afterwards and say this is not good enough. And like I said, we know the type of teams that we're going to have to beat in order to win the conference, and every game matters. So regardless of how we play in any game, win or lose, we just have to get something out of it and get better.
What's on the horizon for Chad Jackson when you graduate?
That's still to be said. Like I said, my main goal is to play professionally somewhere for a few years. And what I really want to do, I've been really thinking about this lately. I'm on my second major, my sports business major, so I'm wanting to open up a training facility and just train kids and just try to help them be successful. I didn't really have that growing up, so I want to get out there in the community and help some kids out.
Worthy goal, Chad.
Dave, make a comment, if you would, about Chad and his career. You've been with him here now all 5 years that he has been, 4 years that he has been at NKU, and what it meant for the team to get him back this year going into his senior year.
Well, Chad's what coaches dream about, and I say that, I don't say that lightly, because what you want to do is you bring a young man onto your campus and then watch him grow up and watch him mature and understand the value of the education that he's having, and also basketball, and that happened with Chad. He'll tell you he wasn't the greatest student as a sophomore, and then since then he's been a fantastic student. He's already graduated, and he's really matured as a young man, and now as he's done a tremendous job with his team. And that was the biggest thing last year that we were missing. We were missing Chad, or that leadership, someone to be out on the court when things weren't going well, and be able to calm them and have a calming influence, or an extension of the coaching staff. Like he said, the team has really matured, where they're a bunch of young kids that didn't know which direction to turn last year, and were emotional as they played. But Chad has been that calming influence, and with a year older seasoned group, it's been a tremendous mix.
Chad, listen, thank you for coming down tonight. We appreciate your taking time to come up and talk with us. We're going to swap you out with your teammate Jalen Billups here and bring him up and talk with him. Thank you, though.
Thank you.
Chad Jackson, senior from Lexington, Kentucky, and I mentioned the 5-year guy. He's the transfer from James Madison University. Came in, played the final year of D2 ball here, sat out last year, and playing Division I now for his last couple of years. All right, let's turn the microphone then over to junior Jalen Billups. We talked about the big games that Chad Jackson had this past weekend. Jalen Billups had big games also points-wise and rebounds-wise in the victory on Wednesday at home against Kennesaw. The numbers for Jalen Billups, 16 points, 8 rebounds, and then on Saturday down in Spartanburg against South Carolina Upstate, he repeated those numbers, 16 points and 8 rebounds. And what we're talking about here is the Atlantic Sun Conference's leader in field goal percentage, 7 of 7 in the game. And I think I said after the game on Saturday, you've now made 23 of your last 30 field goal attempts. All that leading up to say, welcome to the program, Jalen Billups.
Thank you. Schroeder High School, Cincinnati, Ohio. You know, we've had the opportunity to watch you develop over the last 3 years. And your mentality this year, when you catch the ball in the post, in my opinion, is so different from what it was in the past 2 years. Like especially last Saturday down at Upstate, when you had Schulte guarding you, you got the ball, there was no question what you were going to do with it. How has that mentality to attack the rim developed in you in the last 2 or 3 years? What's caused that to happen?
Well, I see that the shooters have been struggling just a bit as of late, so I'm going to take some of the pressure off of them just by beating up the guys down in the post and freeing up them so that they can have a little space to make the shot.
One of the things you do better than most big men, and I say you're a big man at 6'6" or whatever you allege to be in post, when you catch the ball in the post, you turn and square and face the basket, which gives you multi-dimensions. You're a good passer out of the post. You can attack your defender that way because you can work on him. But now I'm going to issue a challenge to you. You might have to sacrifice some of your thinking processes in that you might need to, once you warm up, you might need to start some ball games so you can get some more minutes. I don't want to see it. I was teasing Coach Bezold. I don't want to see you late in the game grabbing your shirt and pull it on his shirt, and everybody knows that means take me out, I'm tired. No, you're not allowed to do that anymore this year.
Understandable. It was just, I was just giving it my all, and
I know you were.
Quick breather just to get back at it and get us the win.
You're doing a really nice job once you catch the ball of finding the rim with your eyes and then making your shot. And as Jim alluded to, what was it, 23 of the last 30?
Right.
Wow, that's an amazing percentage.
Dave, we talk all the time. You mentioned to us we've got to get the inside-outside game going in order to open up the opportunity to knock down the threes that you ended up doing on Saturday, and this guy is an integral part of that, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing about it is if you just throw it to him and they score, that's great. But because they're going to double team and do other things, he has done a tremendous job this year of finding guys, whether it be cutters or shooters spotted up when they do come after him. He's been a tremendous job passing the basketball and really developed and really playing with a lot of confidence, which he should. One-on-one, I don't see anybody in our conference being able to stay with him or stop him. He's not as tall as the rest of them, but he's quicker and more explosive. So I think he's done a tremendous job, and he should. We get upset with him when he doesn't go one-on-one, but he's trying to be a great teammate all the time, and that happens. And I think that's why this team's going to continue to get better, because that's what they want. They want the team to be successful.
You didn't have the mentality that you just mentioned earlier about last year when you caught the ball in the post. I'm not sure, and I'm asking you, you didn't care about not care about the other teams, but you didn't care about your teammates. You weren't thinking, can I take pressure off of them? You just were playing, right? And you've developed so much, your mental aspect on the game. What's caused that to come about?
Well, it was a lot of factors that were holding me back last year. I'm out of shape, just worrying about different factors outside of basketball. But now I have a clear mind. I've lost 30 pounds over this summer, and I was just like really ready to play.
You've really done a nice job getting your body in better playing shape from last year to this year, and that's a tough thing to do, so we want to congratulate you on that dedication.
Jalen, how rewarding is it, not just for you, but for the entire team? You guys work so darn hard during practice, day in, day out, to go down to South Carolina Upstate and pull out the victory like that.
Oh, very rewarding. I think it actually helped everybody, like, confidence-wise, and just like we can beat anybody in this conference now. We don't take anything for granted. We know that we can compete with anybody on any given night. We just have to bring it defensively and not worry about like the last shot that we missed.
All right, we have time for one more question, Steve.
It's in your hands now. I mean, 1 loss or 2-1 coming into this stretch, and as you said, it's up to you guys and your teammates the rest of the way. You can do whatever you want to do. Are you looking forward to the tournament?
I definitely am. I think we're going to surprise a lot of people in the tournament. I mean, we're gelling together at the right time. Around this time, we were about at the same mark, but with this group, I think we're much more well suited for the long run.
Jalen Billups, thank you for coming down to the Mellow Mushroom Water. Thanks for joining us here on the program, Norse Nation, and good luck this weekend at home with a couple of home games for you guys. Jalen Billups, junior for this NKU club, and coming up this week, the men will have back-to-back home games on Thursday night against the University of North Florida, who right now is tied for the ASUN lead with Lipscomb at 3-0, and that game is at 7 o'clock, and then on Saturday afternoon, turn right around and play at 1 o'clock at the Bank of Kentucky Center against Jacksonville University, which right now sits at 1-2 in league play. Dave Bezold, thanks for taking time to join us up here, and when we come back after the bottom of the hour break, we'll turn it over and talk a little women's basketball. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much, guys.
Dave Bezold, the head coach of the NKU men's basketball team. All right, we'll take a break here at the Mellow Mushroom Wilder on Norse Nation. Come back with more, including Coach Dawn Plitzuweit, and she'll join us and talk women's basketball. In the second segment of that, she'll have Rianna Gayheart, one of her players, joining us as well. From Learfield Sports, this is the NKU Sports Network on ESPN 1530. All right, more of Norse Nation here at the Mellow Mushroom Wilder. We're at the back room. If you come in the door, if you're hungry for some pizza, remember the special is you come in, you buy a pizza, you get a pizza free. You come in the door, you take a right. We're in the back room with the Blues Brothers, and a great crowd down here as well. We're glad to have you with us, both the folks here and those listening on ESPN 1530. Let's turn our attention to the NKU women's basketball team, which also played twice last week. Wednesday at home, Wednesday on the road down in Kennesaw, Georgia against Kennesaw State. Lost that game 66-58 and bounced back Saturday with a win at home 77-74 over South Carolina Upstate. Pleased to have Dawn Plitzuweit, the head coach of the women's team, with us. Dawn, thanks for taking some time. I know this is a recruiting day for a lot of coaches, and you guys have a lot of things to do, and we appreciate your taking the time. Now, the Kennesaw game, you guys lead at halftime 25-19. They score, as Steve just alluded to you during the break, 47 points in the second half of that game. So the question is, what happened?
Well, I thought defensively in the first half, they got some good looks against us, but they ran their typical offense against us, and we were able to slow it down, predict it, and they missed some shots, and we got defensive rebounds, and we kept them off the free throw line for the most part in the first half. In the second half, they changed a little bit of their matchup. They changed a little bit of their makeup, and we've seen that a number of times this year. And then when we were able to contest shots, they were still able to make them. Sometimes teams get hot and make some shots. I think that happened to some extent. I thought we were not as disciplined as we needed to be, and they got to the free throw line a few too many times on us in that half. But really, ultimately, our kids battled and challenged and played well on the road, but not quite well enough defensively to put ourselves in a position to win it, or maybe not well enough offensively to overcome that. And so that's kind of a process for us right now of we talk about finding a way. And unfortunately, in that game, we weren't able to. But you know what I thought what was interesting for us in the Lipscomb game, we really focused on getting out the shooters, but they were able to get to the rim against us late in the game. In the Kennesaw game, I thought we did a very good job of taking away the rim, but then they hit arc shots, which aren't really it's not really in their forte to do that, but they hit them. So to their credit, they hit shots that we played them in some way to take. So the good news about our team, they're trying to do what we ask them to do. They're getting better right now.
Well, and that's all you can ask of any team.
Correct.
Coach, let me ask you this. If you catch one or two kids in a half that's hot, that turn hot and they're just looking, run around looking for the ball. What do you do? What do you like to do? Are there some things you like to lean on to cut those shot opportunities down?
Well, there's some, I've coached with different coaches, been in different systems where you just stay in front of kids and make them shoot over two hands. We try to chase them off the arc a little bit. That's what we try to do, make them put it on the floor, and then we did that in the Upstate game and they hit pull-up jumpers. So, it's really a matter of being able to make adjustments during the course of games.
Sure. I mean, and the other thing, this is an editorial comment, and I can.
I can't wait.
Well, you can respond to this. One of the things as a old coach that just drives me bananas, and it happened to us down at Upstate. You might not be able to comment on this because it involves officials. The play will be down at the other end of the court, and your kids are standing up hollering and cheering your team on, and one official will turn around and tell you to sit down. Now, how in the world why does he even care? The play's in front of him at the other end of the court, and they're telling you to sit down.
Well, we have coaches that get yelled at for that, too. We have coaches and players, so we're guilty on all accords.
Okay.
Listen, in that game at Kennesaw, Melanie Doss, one of your leading scorers, one of your leading rebounders, had an off game, 2 for 11 from the floor, missed all 5 of her three-point shots. And on the other hand, maybe, I don't know, you tell me, is Deandra Sawyers one of the better freshmen that you've seen in the league? She had 26 points, 8 rebounds in that game, including 4 threes.
She's actually a sophomore, but she's a very, very good player.
Okay.
They're a team that is really a solid half-court team. They will push it up the court and attack you, but they're a team that has size, strength, and bulk. And Sawyers is a guard that's a very strong physical guard. And again, they're a team that knocked off Xavier when Xavier went down and played him. So they're in an RPI standpoint, a very, very quality team. That was a very, very tough environment to play in. So, and again, we talked about this last week. We're playing in a conference right now that's 13th in the nation. So according to conference RPIs out of 33 conferences. So the opponents that we're going on the road and facing are very, very good opponents, and it's going to help us at the end of the year by playing these teams and getting us better.
Well, let's put the Kennesaw State game then behind us and look forward to Saturday when you came home and won over South Carolina Upstate 77 to 74. Your thoughts on that one overall?
Well, I was really proud of the composure that our players showed. It's a game where typically we've been able to hold teams down defensively in one half, both halves, entire games. In this game, we really struggled to defend Upstate. Again, Upstate hit some shots that we wanted to encourage them to take, and we thought that they were challenged 15-foot pull-up jump shots, but they were making them. So we had to find a way to take them out of that type of rhythm. Had a lead for most of, and I shouldn't say most, probably about 30-some minutes of the game, 29 minutes of the game, I think it was technically. Got down by 4 points at the 7-minute mark. And so instead of hanging our heads, our players stepped up. There's quite a sequence of events that took place. We were down 4, we hit a shot. We're down 2, they hit a free throw, we're now down 3. We hit a 3, they come down, they hit a 3.
Wow.
We hit a 3. So it was a really, really tight game, and to see our kids respond and play with confidence in a tight setting was really good to see.
There's so much ebb and flow in the course
That's exactly right.
course of any ball game. Do you chart or have someone keeping a chart of consecutive baskets by the opposition? In other words, if they come down and they make 3 in a row, 3 buckets in a row on 3 possessions, are you aware of that, or try and make your kids aware of that?
We are, but we also have what we try to track during our games are what we call TKOs, total knockouts, and those for us are 3 possessions in a row where we get stops, and that's really where we're focusing on. 1 stop is great, 2 in a row is great, but if you get 3 in a row, you're really doing a great job defensively, and so that's really what we're focusing on, is how do we get some TKOs from our defense.
Yeah.
You have a big road trip coming up this week. Not that you haven't been on the road enough, but here you are again.
Here we go again.
And you get the 2-game trip. This one to Jacksonville. You play North Florida on Thursday night, and then on a Saturday afternoon against Jacksonville. How do these games stack up?
Well, 2 very athletic teams. Our conference is a highly athletic conference. 2 teams that will put pressure on you in different ways, some in a full court, mostly in a half court. Two very tough environments to play on, going on the road and playing there. And so, I think our kids are excited for another opportunity. Might be a little bit tough with missed classes, but we're starting off the conference on the road, and that means that at the end of the year we get some more conference home games. So that's a good thing for us.
And we should let people know, even though this is a big-time bus league, you are flying down to Jacksonville.
That's correct.
All right.
That is correct.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break. We'll come back and talk more women's basketball with Dawn Plitzuweit and with junior Rianna Gayheart when we return to Mellow Mushroom Wilder on the Norse Nation program. From Learfield Sports, this is the NKU Sports Network on ESPN 1530. All right, we continue to talk NKU women's basketball. I'm Jim Couch. Steve Moeller is alongside Dawn Plitzuweit, the head coach of the Norse women's basketball team, and we are joined in this segment by junior guard Rianna Gayheart at 5'7", and we welcome her to the program. Hello, Rianna, and welcome. How are you? Good, excellent. Well, let's talk a little bit about what happened for you guys this past weekend. You lose at home, you lose on the road, I should say, at Kennesaw State. You win coming home against South Carolina Upstate. What were your overall impressions of those games?
The first game we started off really well. We were playing by foul trouble in the second half, so that really hurt us. But we knew that we needed to come back and get a win at home, give our fans a good show, and it was very exciting to say the least. Came down to the last second, so.
I have an interesting question for you, Rianna. Your non-conference statistics, you average 4.9 points a game, 3.6 rebounds, and 2.6 assists. Nice stats, kind of sedate. Your A-Sun statistics, you're averaging 15.3 points a game, 4.3 rebounds, and 4 assists in your first 3 games. You're 6th in the league in assists at 2.9. and 7th in total assists. How do you explain the difference?
I'm really not sure. I don't think it's a big secret that I wasn't shooting the very best in the pre-conference, and so it just really helps me to have a lot of encouragement from my teammates. I never doubt myself when I'm out there. They're always so supportive, and as a point guard, they make it so easy on me. I have 4 girls on the floor that can hit a shot as soon as I give them the ball. I have no doubt. So that makes it so much easier on me. And we got a couple girls that are usually our big scorers that have been struggling a little bit. So I had to pick up a little bit of that, but they still attract all the attention. So it just makes it easy on me.
Well, I want to pay you a compliment. You're not the prototypical point guard. Running around all over the floor, jet quick like that. But you know how to play the game. You're always where you need to be. You're a good defender, and you play so smart. It's fun to watch you play.
It sounds like that maybe Coach P doesn't always tell you that. See, you looked at her
I thought that was a backhanded compliment. I wasn't sure what that was.
No.
She once told me that I could only defend a water cooler.
That was her freshman year. I was talking about how much she's improved, that now she's guarding the other team's best guard. How much I was encouraging the freshmen to not get frustrated because they too can improve like Rianna has.
Rianna, you're from Owenton, Kentucky. You played at Owen County High School where you were honorable mention All-State your senior year. What led you to NKU?
I loved NKU from the beginning. My mom's the type of mom that never missed a single one of my high school games. So it meant a lot to me to be close to family, and they're actually here tonight supporting me.
Excellent.
I have a very supportive family, and I just couldn't imagine being at a school where they couldn't come to a lot of games. So that was a big leading factor for me.
That's really important to a lot of kids that want to go someplace where their mom and dads or their family or boyfriend can see them play and to get the education that you want. When you and I spoke off the air, you're a double major, majoring in what?
Double major in organizational leadership and communication.
And you're going to graduate on time this May?
I'll actually graduate a little early. I'll be done this summer. And so then I have an option to start my master's degree for my senior year of basketball or get another degree. So I haven't really decided what I'm going to do.
Good for you. Good for you.
You know, we were talking about coming to NKU and you want your family to be able to see you play. And Steve and I are always talking about how NKU is a real gem in terms of recruiting, being led really by the Bank of Kentucky Center. How much of an influence was that when you walked in there and you thought, wow, I can play my games in this beautiful facility?
The BFA is definitely the best facility in our conference by far. It's absolutely amazing playing there, and I was just so impressed with the amount of community support we get. There's always so many fans that come, and it's great to go out in the community and I'll be in the subway and someone will, oh my gosh, we're on the women's team. So that's just awesome. And we have such a great support system, and being able to play in an arena like that is just unreal.
Coming up, these next couple ball games, anything that sticks out in your mind about where you go from here with your ball club? What do you need to do as a point guard to make Coach Plitzuweit's plans come to fruition?
I think my biggest role right now is just being a leader on the floor, taking care of the ball, distributing, being efficient, effective, and mainly just keeping everybody on track. That's my goal, is to just be a true point guard. If I need to score, supply that for the team, and if I'm ready to pass, do that also.
Dawn, I know that the defense means so much to all coaches, and you've talked about it a lot too. I want to go back to the comment that you made. You said as a freshman she couldn't guard the water cooler. How did she go from that to becoming the player that she is now?
Well, Rianna cares a great deal. There's not a player out there that wants to be as good of a player as they can be, more than Rianna does. Rianna spends a lot of time studying the game, watching it, but really is someone who puts herself in positions that can help make her successful and her team successful, and someone who's really figured out how she can get up and pressure the ball and be in good enough balance to cut somebody off, and whether that's using angles, whether that's understanding the game. But she's really made a lot of great plays for us, and I think is really a calming presence for our team when she's out on the court.
One last question. Give us a little sample of a work day for you during the summer and what you do to make yourself a better player for the upcoming season.
The summer's definitely the time when you have to make yourself better. We'll normally wake up, get a workout in, go home, eat lunch, relax a little bit, and then come back for a lift or another workout. And then another thing that I think is just so underrated about this summer is the amount of team camaraderie. That's the best chance that you have to meet your new teammates, and to have that chemistry work so well for you in the summer makes it so much easier when you are full go as soon as the fall semester starts.
And do you guys get to play against the players from the other schools in the area?
We haven't yet. There are a few leagues that do that. Our men's team takes part in that, but we haven't. We normally just stay on campus.
All right. Well, listen, Rianna, thank you so much for coming down here to the Meadow Mushroom. Thank you for joining us on Norse Nation, and we wish you nothing but the best this week on your trip down to Florida, North Florida, and Jacksonville. I would imagine that the fact that you get to go to Florida twice was a little bit of a recruiting tool also, wasn't it? Okay, thank you very much. Dawn, thank you so much, and good luck down there against the North Florida Ospreys this week, and then the Jacksonville club as well. We hope next week when we're talking to you, you come back with 2 wins.
That would be great. Thank you very much.
All right, Dawn Plitzuweit, the head coach of the NKU women's basketball team. We'll take a break here at the Mellow Mushroom Wilder, come back with our final segment of this week's edition of Norse Nation right after this from Learfield Sports. This is the NKU Sports Network on ESPN 1530. Final segment. We have about 2.5 minutes or so as we wrap up this latest edition of Norse Nation down here at the Mellow Mushroom Wilder. We'll remind you that next week we'll be back down here again from 7 to 8 o'clock. The show will be broadcast on Fox 1360 next week, and we'll be talking about men's games at home against University of North Florida and Jacksonville, and women's games as they go just the opposite on the road in Jacksonville, playing North Florida on Thursday night, and then the women play Jacksonville on Saturday afternoon. It's hard to believe, Steve, but already spring sports are upon us. I talked with Brian Nestor, the head coach of the tennis team today, and the men opened up their season just yesterday over at Ohio State, somewhere that is near and dear to your heart.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what, here we are, we're 1 weekend away from the last weekend when we go down and make that North Florida.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry, we first go to Stetson and then Florida Gulf Coast. Mm-hmm. That's our first trip. Then we're into February already. It seems just inconceivable that things have gone this quickly.
And I was looking at the NKU Athletic website today. The men's and women's track and field teams competed this past weekend in the Kentucky Open over in Lexington, and then they're going to perform this weekend, Friday. Both will be involved in the Gladstein Invitational over on the near the IU campus in Bloomington, Indiana. So good luck to them over there. from a basketball standpoint, this coming Thursday's game here against University of North Florida will be heard right here on ESPN 1530. Pregame coverage at 6:30. Tip of that game is at 7 o'clock, and then they'll come back on Saturday afternoon and play host to Jacksonville. That game tips at 1 o'clock. You can hear it on Fox 1360 with pregame coverage beginning at 12:30. That music in the background tells us that we are basically out of time. Steve, thanks again for your hard work tonight.
Another good show tonight. We had a nice crowd here. And if you're still hungry and haven't had dinner yet, come on out to the Mellow Mushroom and get a 2-for-1 pizza deal.
All right. Our engineer back at the studio has been Lindsey Patterson. On site it's been Rick Uccino. For Steve Moeller, I'm Jim Couch. Thanks for listening to Norse Nation from the Mellow Mushroom Wilder.